when you look at some of your pledges that were pretty well received that you announced yesterday, does this come from pressure from outside? Is it regulators? Is it shareholders? Is it politicians?
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. So we announced yesterday new Paris-aligned financing targets for three key industry sectors: oil and gas, electric power, and automotive manufacturing. And we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. But there's also business opportunity in the transition to a low-carbon future. So we've been, very aggressive over the past few years in increasing our sustainability efforts and commitments, working with our clients to do this work, and really supporting them on the transition to a low-carbon future, which we know is really essential.
Marisa, is this in any way an admission from you, but also other banks, that actually lending to fossil fuel companies in the past was the wrong thing to do?
So fossil fuels, historically have really powered our global energy economy. They provide everything from, the electricity that we use to power our homes, get to work, run our factories and industrial facilities. So, it's really been the backbone of our energy economy. And, this has really fueled global economic growth and development around the world for so many billions of people. But we know that, the use of fossil fuels has also created real environmental challenges, especially climate change. And so the opportunity that we have is to really work with a whole range of companies across the, traditional energy ecosystem to support them to invest in new technologies, new solutions. This is one of the key reasons why we announced a few weeks ago a target to facilitate and finance $2.5 trillion to support our clients and their efforts to transition. And it's really about bringing capital to the table and, in my view, addressing climate change in a way that ultimately is really good for business and promotes economic growth and opportunity.
Marisa, are there any companies that you've already turned away for funding because of their emissions?
So, we work really proactively with our clients. We are a client and customer-centric organization. So always our first objective is to, proactively work with our clients. This is one of the key reasons why we've established two new industry teams. One is a Center for Carbon Transition, which is working across our corporate and investment bank and commercial banking businesses to provide our clients with access to financing, as well as research and advisory, and also why we created a new commercial banking green economy team, which is, specifically targeted to support, our clients in our commercial bank, with access to financing and other opportunities in the new, green economy, really opportunities created by the opportunity to transition to a low carbon future. So, this is really our first goal. And of course, in setting our Paris-aligned financing targets, we're setting forth clear expectations that we want and expect to see our clients operate responsibly and take steps to address their emissions and ideally align with the goals of Paris, and really work constructively with them in the effort to do that.
So what role, for example, Marisa, will offsets actually play in reaching your targets?
So it's interesting, offsets can provide a critical vehicle for companies to reduce emissions in cases where, there are not, yet technically viable internal abatement opportunities, or where the cost of abating carbon emissions is, very, very high. So offsets historically have operated as a really important vehicle in compliance markets. And you've seen this historically in the EU, as well as states in the US like California. So, we know that they play a critically important role, and we're going to be at the table to, push to make sure that the offsets that are available for companies, both in the voluntary market, but also, future compliance markets, are additional, real, verified, and high quality, so that, we all can feel confident that offsets that companies are using are actually generating real emission reductions.
Is there a conversation where amongst banks that actually, some offsets should be used, for example, for offsetting, scopes 2 and 3 emissions?
So offsets historically are used to offset scope 3 emissions because scope 2 emissions are really about electricity generation. So, there are a lot of opportunities, I think, for companies to innovate, across the entire sort of supply chain And in some cases, that means looking at internal abatement opportunities. I think, that is historically recognized as where companies should start. You start internal, and then, you look to external opportunities. And, I will say, I think offsets and play a key role in also promoting, broader social and economic co-benefits that are really important to recognize and should be recognized as part of a comprehensive solution to address climate.
Marisa, I mean, one of the things that also, is extremely important, I guess, is banks and other organizations speaking the same language. What does net zero mean for you and JPMorgan?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, net zero is, critically important environmentally. And, in announcing our Paris-aligned financing commitment yesterday and our new targets yesterday, this is really our effort at JPMorgan to take steps within our business, but also importantly with our clients to, get the world on a path where we are hopefully achieving real, concrete, tangible, near-term action that will get the world on a pathway to where we can eventually achieve, ideally, net zero carbon emissions by 2050. So, the challenge we face today is, there has been so much progress in innovation around low carbon solutions, but we know the world is not yet on a pathway to meet Paris. And so this is where I think taking near-term action that can be measured against, and it's really about ambition. And I think what we have announced is really symbolic of JPMorgan saying we have a role to play, we want to work with others, and we want to make a difference.